keep it 1 for 100. My men keep it 1 for 100. My ladies keep it 1 for 100. My peoples keep it 1 for 100.
100.
Welcome back to Keep It 100 Oklahoma High School Sports on this Sunday afternoon. Here on the phone with us himself, the one and only Tom George with QBImpact. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm good, Tony. Actually, we just got done training, man. I appreciate you having me on the show, brother. It's humbling.
Man, you know, you got to have the man like you on the show with some of these great quarterbacks that's coming out of the state of Oklahoma that you've touched or been around and done good things with. And so, you know, I got to ask, you know, I know you coached over at Jones, and I mean, you've been a lot around high school, you know, sports. And so I had to ask, you know, like I said, you've been at Jones, but, you know, have you thought about getting back into being an offensive coordinator or being a head coach?
Man, I'll be totally honest with you, man. Every year, you know, because I'm at a game probably 3 or 4 games a week from 8th grade to JV to high school games. And, I mean, I have that itch to get back on the sideline, but, you know, it's always been a passion for me to be able to impact a wide variety of young people. And, you know, coaching high school ball and limiting yourself to that high school during the week is really tough. So, I like to go out and watch the guys I train and kind of support them. I think it's what you should do, so they understand that it's just not about that, you know, getting that training done on the weekend, but that you're actually supporting them in life and as they move on in sports. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I believe that the second part of your training session, or the name of it, Impact, is exactly what you're doing. You're having an impact on these young student athletes' lives. It's one thing to go to school and you got your coach, your position coach that's training you, but you know as well as I do, when coaching, you only have so much time, and you're not only coaching a couple of these kids, but you're coaching the entire team. But when you're able to narrow it down to more of your profession or more of your stronger skill set, you're having a larger impact. And I think for coaching, to be able to touch more than just the kids at your school and go out and watch them perform or do some of the things that you have instilled in them is more rewarding than just being at one specific school. Am I right or wrong on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest with you, I got a buddy of mine who coaches college ball, and I've had some guys reach out at the college level, and I've always, you know, for me, number one, I can't coach college ball and run my football academy, number one. So it never made sense to me, because if I truly believed in my passion, my mission, and my goals, then I wouldn't do that, right? And it's exactly what you said. Being able to impact young men on the weekends and through training, and then at camps, and then be able to go see them put that on the field, and then reward them. And then after the game, you know, they see that you put in that effort to come out there. You know, I was at Chickasha Friday night to see Cade Rayburn, who's a 2024 quarterback who can absolutely play. And, you know, to him, it was important. And for me, honestly, showing up to his game meant more than even the training on the weekend, because he showed that it was a little bit bigger than football. Mm-hmm. And in today's society, that's what kids need, man. Yes. Honestly, man, they just need that impact in their lives, and for them to understand that honestly, it's bigger than football, and football is your platform, but you can use it for something greater.
Wow, you definitely nailed that right there. Hit the hammer on the nail on the head right there. In addition to that, and not only the players that are coming to your training sessions and their parents, but I believe these coaches really appreciate you, because they're, like I said, they only get a limited time with these guys, and you've had your hands on enough of these quarterbacks that went on and did great things, so they trust in your process, and for you to be able to help them out and be a form of partnership, it goes a long way, and I'm pretty much sure that they appreciate that.
Yeah, you know, I hope so. I try to do my part to communicate with high school coaches. You know, I'll be honest with you, man. I think some guys are a little bit threatened, and I get it. I get it, right? I mean, because the market is saturated, right? If you go to a bad car dealer and you get a bad deal, then you think car dealers got issues, right? So the market is saturated with guys that don't get that, and you know, I'm not a I don't I truly respect high school coaches, and the amount of money they make for the effort they put into it, regardless if you like them or not, they're still working for your child.
Yes, sir.
And at the end of the day, man, if I run a drill, like if I teach zone read and they say, hey, at my high school we run it this way, then I always tell the young man, well, let's work it the way your high school runs it, but I want to teach you this way in case you go to the Oklahoma camp or the Baylor camp. That's the way they do it, so you can see a different variety. But you should always do it the way your high school coach wants, so that you're prepared for Friday night. And I would think, I hope that some of these high school coaches and middle school coaches understand that at the end of the day, man, I'm just trying to help them win games and make their athletes a better human being.
And I believe they do. You're equipping them for success. And in addition to that as well, not only are you focusing on the quarterback, you're giving these other guys an opportunity, whether that's a receiver or a DB or these linemen. It's more than just the QBs, and I think that's what makes your sessions or training so unique. Not only are you teaching them life skills, preparing them for the next level, but you're also giving these other guys in these other positions an opportunity to build these relationships that may last a lifetime or just get them ready for the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially, and I don't mind going there, in today's society, man, young people are innocent and they're sponges and they want to learn and they want to get better. And we got to do a better job at making sure they understand that. I mean, there's so much noise out there and so much negativity that if these young athletes fall into that, they're just going to become that. So I coach them hard. I don't let them, if they don't get good, first of all, if their GPA doesn't meet a certain category, I don't allow them to come to training. Yes, so there's some things that are important to me, but at the end of the day, there's so much noise out there, man, that I try to bring them to a place where they feel safe, where it's quiet, where we just go to work, keep your mouth shut, just work. And at the end of the day, if you work your ass off and take care of your parents and be good to people, you're going to be all right. Yes, and I apologize. I don't know if I can say that.
You can say this show's called Keeping 100, Tom. You can do what you want to do on here. It's called I don't answer to nobody but HR Jessica.
Hey, Tony, I appreciate it. I should have known if you on the show, I'm good.
Yeah, you already know. No, Tom, we go way back, man, and it's good things that we can catch up and do this show, man. I've been knowing you when Gabe and Deshaun was in 6th, 7th grade going over there catching, for you and your son. I remember when your son first moved here, and he was with Darren, and maybe we go out and do some 7-on-7 stuff, man, and just to see what you have done with the impact. And I got to ask you this question. It's called Keep 100. So you got another guy, Derek. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name, Ransby or whatever his name is. He does some quarterback training too. Is there any kind of competition when you guys are doing QBs? Because I know you both work with some of the same QBs. How does that handle? Because you've done this a long time, and your name has been out there. I mean, for a while. You work with what was it, FBU? I mean, so you've done a lot with young men. I mean, I know a lot of these kids come to you, but so what is it like when you are getting into this competition with like another guy like himself? And it might not be. I'm just asking.
Yeah. So number one, I'm really not in competition with another guy, and it's because at the end of the day, it's about the young people that I train. So I'm not really in competition with another guy because I know what I provide. Man, I spent 25 years in the military, brother. What I'm not looking for, I don't ever wake up in the morning hoping that I got more friends in my life. I'm good, brother. So at the end of the day, I know what I provide for our athletes. If you want to be a guy that throws resumes around and talks about you, you can do that. That's not who I am. I'm all about the families, the kids, hoping that they work hard, they get good grades, they treat their parents right. And I'll be honest with you, man, I'm trying to talk to them about, when they come home from school, why they throw their clothes on the ground. Mom and dad working hard all week, so
yes, sir.
So I don't get caught up in all that. If people want to be noisy, they can be noisy. Right. But if you truly know who you are, you're not worried about all that noise, man. I know exactly who I am. The families I train know exactly who I am. And at the end of the day, I'm always going to be that dude. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Nobody works harder for each individual kid than I do. I don't look at how many offers a kid has and then I tweet him 5 times a week, and then the 10-year-old I don't tweet at all. Like the kids get the same love. Yes, I don't care how good you are. If you come into training, then you come into work. You should get the same amount of love as everybody else. It doesn't matter how many stars or offers you got. Just go to work, man.
That's what it's about.
And you got to think about it, right? I'll get on the pedestal. The ESPN and Rivals and all them, they promote the top 300 athletes in America. Well, there's 2.6 million football players in America. So they basically saying the rest of them don't count. Well, that's a problem. Right? That's a problem.
Let's keep it at 100.
What's that?
I said, let's keep it at 100. I like that because, I never looked at it like that. I mean, you're right.
Well, but the problem is those same people are preaching about politicians and all these other people that don't do it the right way. They're doing exactly what they're doing. They promoting the rich.
Yep.
Like, hey, it is what it is, right? I mean,
you see what these young athletes getting when they go to his session?
Yes, sir.
They get more than just football.
They get more than just football. That's it. Well, Tom, I got to ask you this question, though, because you are training a lot of kids, and I know there's probably been some kids that's come in there, and they might not be the great athlete. They might not be the best quarterback. Do you let the parents know and say, hey, man, Johnny might not be the QB that you want him to be? Because well as I know, and I said this last week on the show, QB's dads, you can make your own reality show because, sometimes the QB dads or the moms are kind of like cheer moms. Everybody think they baby number one. If you don't say they number one, they ready to get mad at you and pack up and go somewhere else. So you let the parents know if the kid's not up to par and he might not be a QB going into junior high and high school that, hey, he might need to move?
Man, always. And actually, I think you've been to my camp, so I'm 1,000% real with parents. So number one, if I take their money and train a kid to be something he's not productive enough to be, then I'm just taking money, right? I'm really not doing anything for the kid. Right. So I'm 1,000% real with each parent of each kid I train. And at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, most of them don't want reality. So they go train with another coach, and there's other coaches that'll take them and they'll appease them and they'll pet them on the shoulder and say, well, you're the next Baker Mayfield, when we know that's not reality, right? The problem is that's not reality. And when kids don't realize what reality is, you're hurting them,
right?
Because they don't understand how to grow, because they're trying to reach a goal that they're incapable of reaching instead of them reaching goals that they can reach. Yes, and so at the end of the day, you're hurting kids by giving them a false sense of reality, because our society gives them a false sense of reality.
Yes.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I absolutely tell them the truth. Do I lose clients? Absolutely. Do dads get sensitive? Absolutely. But I'm going to say it again. I've never woken up in the morning and needed more friends, brother.
That's it.
Man, we need to have him on more.
Man.
He takes us to church.
Dropping some knowledge.
Hey, Tom, no, man. Like I said, Tom's been around, man. His boy was a great quarterback, won a state championship at Jones. His other son played at UCO. What did he play at Air Force first, right? Your oldest son?
Yeah, my oldest son went to the Air Force Academy. Then he went to actually Central Florida, University of Central Florida.
Central Florida.
And then he came to UCO because he wanted to watch his brother play at Jones in his high school career.
Wow.
So yeah, man, I've been blessed to have two amazing young men that have grown up to be assets to society, which I think is what we all want in our children.
Hey, you're taking us to church. Matter of fact, no, what you're doing is keeping it 100, and we love it because that's the name of the show, and we appreciate you for doing such. I'm excited.
Yeah,
he got me wanting to put on some cleats.
Man, I appreciate it, bro.
I got to ask you though. I want you to tell the listeners, because you've touched a lot of young men. I mean, tell them about some of the guys you have coached, and then the up and coming, young dogs that's going to be QBs for you.
Man, there's a kid. I'll be honest with you, one of the best kids, and I say that a lot, but one of the top QB in the state, a couple of the top guys in the state. There's a kid named Chance Wilson out of Rejoice in Tulsa. Honestly, I don't even train him, but I respect the coaches at Rejoice, so I study his film. He's going to Montana, and honestly, Montana's lucky because he's an absolute stud. Blaze Berlowitz out of Cushing, to me, is one of the top 2 to 3 quarterbacks in the state of Oklahoma. He just committed to New Mexico State. He's a Power 5 kid that ended up in New Mexico State. They got an absolute steal. And there's a kid named Carson Laverty out of Coweta who broke his collarbone. Yeah, he hurt his collarbone early in the season, but he's going to come back. He's a stud too. Came from a family, the Laverty family, that has coached their whole life. And then in 2024, man, I got 3 guys that are absolute gunslingers. Cash Ferris, which Tony, out of Carl Albert.
That's my neighbor.
Yeah, so he's committed to play baseball at Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm. He's probably the most natural thrower I got. He can absolute spin it.
Totally.
There's a kid named Cade Rayburn out of Chickasha, who doesn't get a lot of love because he's out there in Chickasha, but he's strong, physical, 6'2", 180. He can throw it. And then Simeon Gilkey, weird situation, was at Bartlesville, transferred to Union, got caught up in all that Union stuff, and now he's at Jenks, and he should get his first start next week at Jenks. He's a 2024 kid. His name is Simeon Gilkey. He's a player. Be patient. Be patient. He's a player. By the end of the season, you're going to hear some noise about him. But you know, but at the end of the day, like I said, though, man, I can tell you right now, I got some 10, 11, 12-year-old guys that can play. They got their sponges. They listen. They don't have big heads. They just want to grind. They get straight A's in school. They say yes, sir, no, sir. They say thank you and you're welcome. And at the end of the day, man, that's what I'm preaching. If you don't go to college to play football, but you go to college to get your degree and go on to be a doctor or a dentist, we've succeeded. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Absolutely. You know what I think? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Archie. Go ahead.
There's a kid that you didn't mention. I'm sure there's so many other kids that you didn't mention, but I just want to pick your brain about this kid because he's really impressed me myself. And I'm not the expert that you are, but the kid from Muskogee, Jamarion Ficklin, he's having a heck of a year, and he's just a sophomore.
Yeah, no, Marion, he's a stud. I agree. Now, I haven't watched him at all. Oh, man. I had a guy text me after they played Carl Albert and said, "Hey, he's special." And I've heard he can run, he can throw. I think guys like that are just reaching the top of the mountain and they're about to blow up. Yes, sir. And then as soon as he puts together a year of varsity film, see, the thing about it is there's guys that I don't train that I see on Twitter or that follow me that reach out. Man, I'll blast their film to college coaches I know because, like, at the end of the day, if you're truly about impacting young men, it shouldn't matter if you training them or somebody else. Yes. You should try to help them succeed. So I don't train the kid from Muskogee, but I know he's talented. I know he's high character from what I hear, and the sky's the limit for him for sure.
Yep, he's a 2-year starter now, just as a sophomore, and he has, I think, 1,200 plus yards in passing and threw about 15 touchdowns, only 1 interception, just in 4 games.
It's crazy. Man, that's crazy. I got to ask you about this young man over here at Carl Albert, man. I know you put some work in him. His daddy don't like to be talked about, but I got to ask you about the Carl, you young man, man. I've seen a little bit of film of him, and I think the kid got I'm going to be real with you.
He's a stud.
You know? I think he's going to have a chance to battle next year for the starting job as a true freshman. His daddy don't want to say nothing, but I'm keeping it 100. I don't care what his daddy thinks. I'm keeping it 100.
And I appreciate you keeping 100, man. Anderson can play, man. He comes from a football family, you know what I'm saying? In fact, I joke with him, and hopefully he's listening, but I joke with him, and every time I train him, I said, "Hey, my goal is to get your daddy out of you because he ain't playing no more." So I'm trying. Hey,
let me say something real quick on that, Tom. Hey, his daddy can say he was the last state championship over here back at Midwest City, but he had some players though. He had a Vernon Maxwell, he had a Rodney Rideau, he had a Crawford. So don't let Andy act like he did it all on his own. All he had to do was hand it off to Maxwell.
No, I agree. I'll be messing with his dad, but here's the deal. First of all, his dad's humble about his kid. He's an 8th grader. He can ball. Yeah. He's going to be the future of Carl Albert. I mean, don't get it slipping now. Cash Ferris is pretty good, dog.
Yeah. No. I think the Quasi's good. I thought you done some good work with the Quasi. I know he's hurt. I tell you right now, man. I think the Quasi would have had a big year. If you could tell his dad got him with you and he started working with you because the kid, when I've known the Quasi, and me and his daddy played ball in Midwest City and his uncle. But I just tell you this with the Quasi though, the kid couldn't throw at first, and his daddy knew he had to go out there and get somebody. And I think you put your hands on, baptize him a little bit, and I think he would have held a hell of a year this year. But he ended up getting hurt, and I think he's gonna come back. You got 2 great quarterbacks at Carl Albert, but I just think that it's gonna take both of them to try to win a state championship. Though I don't think they both can do it on his own, and I don't know how much the Quasi can go when he gets back. But you're right, old boy can throw the ball though. But I'm telling you right now. I tease Andy all the time. I said, hey, I think you're going to have a rotating quarterback system next year because Ferris, I mean, he got a chance. I mean, he gonna go play college baseball. I don't know if I want to get that shoulder messed up. Collier's a football kid, man, and he could be the next Ben Harris and be a 4-year starter. Like I said, I know his dad don't want to hear that, but sometimes, man, you got to just take off your glasses and say, hey, man, my boy's the truth.
I think he knows that, but at the same time, as a parent, you kind of want to protect your child.
Hell no, I want Zoe to be a 4-year starter. Whoever she gonna go.
Man, I think but that's what makes the 8th grader Anderson great, though. And I'm gonna tell you something about Reed DeQuazy. One of the greatest attributes you can have in a quarterback, in my opinion, and it makes Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers who they are, regardless of who you think is the GOAT, is a term I call mental calmness. And these dudes that don't panic under pressure, it don't matter what the scores, they're chill, they're calm, their elbows are relaxed, they just snap the ball and go to work. That's how Reed was, man. And when I got Reed, absolutely, we had to change his mechanics and get him throwing and do some things. But I tell you what, that dude is super calm, man. He believes the playbook. He believes in the system. He works his butt off. I mean, you're 100% right. Anderson is very similar to that. Anderson don't talk a lot, man. He's not a noisy kid. Yeah, I mean, he's super chill. He runs the offense. He leads. You know what I like is kids follow him, and he don't say much. He just leads. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I like, man. I mean, this high school world is so damn noisy, man. They got kids posting practice sessions on Twitter. I'm like, man, what you doing? You're supposed to go to practice. Yeah. Like, it don't make no sense to me, right? Like, man, I went to practice on Thursday. Man, you're supposed to go to practice. It don't make no sense to me. Like,
hey, everybody talking about practice. Practice. Hey, I gotta mention this one young man real quick too. Cedric Frazier, man. I know you've had your hands on him, man. We had him on the show a couple weeks ago, man, and I got to love that young man, and I hope great things happen to him, man. So I know you got a chance to work with him. Can you tell the listeners? I know that they've heard him talk, but can you tell the listeners his work ethic?
Yeah, absolute stud, absolute hard worker. He can absolutely fly. I think he went to the Tulsa camp and ran for him, and that's when he got that offer back in the day, is just by showing his speed. He's explosive. He's got a ton of athleticism. He's that guy you can put in the slot and hand jet to, or run stem that corner route and get open. I mean, he's super explosive. Cedric's downfall is he's gone through some tough injuries in his career, right? And I feel for the young man, because he's so high character and does it the right way and comes from a great family. His mom's amazing. And, man, kids like that, I think good things are going to happen for, because he's always worked hard. His mom's always been good. And I just want to see him have a huge year so that he can go on to college and show his skill set.
Yes, sir. You got any questions, man? I know we taking this thunder, man.
Yeah,
Tom, fun
it's
to
all
talk
good.
to.
But no, really, I don't have any questions. But I just wanted to say, I know I appreciate the way that, you're pubbing these kids and you're getting them out there, and you're training them and everything. And quarterback, they're the leader of that team, the leader of the offense. So it's super important that I think a quarterback gets that. However you want to, that extra training. It's You mentioned it earlier about the trainers and the coaches somewhat can get in a situation where they're butting heads, but I think quarterback is definitely a position that extra training is needed. So definitely appreciate that, especially you can see your touch all across the state with these quarterbacks. Yep. So we certainly appreciate it.
Definitely.
Man, I appreciate you guys having me on the show. Honestly, as as tough as I think I am, it's super humbling to me to be on your show, man. I respect and appreciate Tony and you guys and everything you've done, and how you're bringing out high school sports in the state of Oklahoma that's super under recruited. So, for me to you, I'm grateful, man, and I appreciate you guys.
Well, man, we definitely appreciate that as well. And whenever we have the time, when time permits, we would like to come out and just kind of hang out and cover some of the sessions that you have.
Yes sir. Now we talking,
and make this a win-win for not only us, for you as well as those athletes too. I think that'd be a great idea. So in time, I think that's what we should do: partner up and see how we can help each other out to ensure, because we have the same common goal, is to have an impact, as you said, QBImpact, have an impact on these student athletes' lives, not only the students themselves, but their families, and just do our job and our due diligence to ensure that we're preparing them or equipping them for success, not only in sports, but outside of sports as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Tony is always known. You guys got full access to what I do, man. We have the same mission, the same objectives, and if that's what it takes to help these young people, man, then I'm all in, brother.
Man,
Awesome.
real quick though, it's and I can say with this about Tom, he's touched a lot of, I know he's young, some of the younger guys, but he's touched some older guys. JD Head worked with him, and and me and Tom both know Darren's our friend, but Darren's one of those dads, love him to death, but he's one of those QB dads, thinking his son was going to be bigger in the world, and now he's in the real world. And he was over at Louisiana Tech, now he's over at North Texas, and he's running third team quarterback. And Tom can tell you JD was good, but that's just why I tell these people, you get in the real world, you never know what's going to happen. And so that's one thing that Tom is putting in these kids, like, hey, granted, I can coach you and train you, but you never know what's going to happen when you get out there, because you got to keep working. You can't just say, oh, because I'm good and I'm this and this, because QB is only one position, only one guy can play that. And so I just think people need to hear that too, because like I said, at the end of the day, man, you can get them trained, and they might like what you say or might not like what you don't say, but at the end of the day, the kid got to go take care of business himself.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people in Oklahoma, parents and kids, forget that the 3 most heavily recruited states in the nation are Florida, Texas, and California. And when you get to college, you get to see that, and you realize that if you're a skilled kid in Oklahoma, there's 1,000 skilled kids just like you in Florida and Texas. So these families and kids, when they get to college, man, it's like shock and awe, because they didn't realize, because they balled out in Oklahoma. Well, there's 2.6 million high school football players in America. It's just not about your kid, man. You got to look at the spectrum of athletes. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Tom, we appreciate you taking after Sunday afternoon. I know you got to get back on that grind and get the next man trained up. So I really appreciate it. Like I said, we'll link up and come out and maybe interview some of your young men that's up and coming, because I love to have those young guys on the show that's up and coming. Because one, it teaches them how to talk. Every young person that we've interviewed from from Franklin, from Muskogee, I mean, his parents, and was all excited that, hey, we did an interview with him and get to let their son talk. It helps them for the future though. So we'll link up and get something together and get it going.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, again, I appreciate you guys, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Have a great evening.
All right. Bye.
Well, folks, that's Tom George, man, the outstanding QB impact, quarterback coach, man. He's such a lot. Impact.
Making an impact.
He's making an impact on
life.
somebody's life.
Right.
Somebody's life. But I tell you, though, man, he's done some big things. Like I said, I like how he said it, man. I ain't in no competition with nobody.
I love
because at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, my daughter goes to a shooting coach, and I always tell people, if the coach, and I'm just saying it, if a coach fixed your jumper, I ain't going to go back.
Yeah.
So you got to go work on your craft every week. So,
Right.
And that's what he's doing. Each kid, he probably has to break down, start back, especially if he's been going to somebody else. And Tom's been around, man. He's the kids that, he, like I say, he's done 25 years in the Navy. The guy knows his stuff.
I gotta keep it 1-for-100. My men keep it 1-for-100. My ladies keep it 1-for-100. My peoples keep it 1-for-100.
One hundred.